You are listening to Practical and Woo by Mindset and Manifest. My name is Eden, and I invite you to embark on a journey with me to explore the practical and spiritual edges of the unknown for the purpose of allowing you to embody and empower yourself uniquely as you are and to intentionally create and live a life of freedom and fulfillment. Each week, I am going to discuss topics such as energetics, reality creation, manifestation, astrology, tarot, and more to help empower you to live beyond perceived limitations and to practically design your life so it feels like absolute magic every step of the way. Let's dive in. Well, hello, brilliant soul. It has been a seriously long while since we've explored a tarot series episode, with our last one being 49 episodes ago in episode 95. It feels like I have been summoned today to continue on with our hero's journey. And if you're interested in catching up, I will make sure to link all of the episodes of the series in the show notes. The break we've taken in this series reminds me of a keystone of life. The idea that things ripen on their own time, and often we are meant to learn, perceive, or see something precisely when we are meant to. And with that being said, let's dive back into our journey. Our fool has wandered once again. They have crossed mountains and rivers, stumbled through illusion, awakened to truths, and sat in silence at the feet of wisdom. And now our fool finds themselves in a place unlike any they have been before, in the domain of card 11. The air feels clean here, sharp almost, as if something invisible has been sliced open and the truth that has always been hidden is suddenly shining through. This is the realm of justice. And unlike many of the mythic statues we see in our courthouses or painted across Roman tablets, justice here is a little bit different. She does not wear the blindfold of Justitia, the Roman goddess of law. She does not cover her eyes and claim objectively by ignoring what is real. Instead, she meets the fool with eyes wide open, piercing, unwavering, because true justice is willing to face the truth of what is. Let us take a step back. The fool has already met the first 10 companions on their journey. They have danced with the magician who taught them that will and vision can shape the material world. They've sat in mystery with the high priestess, learning that wisdom does not come from movement alone, but also from attunement to the unseen currents of life. They have entered the Empress's garden and have come to know abundance, nurturance, and beauty. They've stood before the emperor and felt the boundaries, structure, and authority that give form to life. They've bent beneath the stern gaze of the Hierophant, encountering tradition, systems, and a spiritual lineage. They've fallen into the arms of the lovers, where choice and relationship braided their fate. They've taken up the chariot's reins and tasted victory, forward movement, and the charge of personal willpower. They've sat at the hermit's lamp and withdrawn into solitude, learning to search for truth in the quiet corners of their own being. Then came the Wheel of Fortune, spinning them into the realization that life is not linear, but cyclical, that destiny and change play their own game. And now, after the wheel has tossed and turned, our fool enters a new chamber, the one of justice. Here the journey pauses, and no step can be taken without reflection. The scales are set, and the sword gleams. And at the center of this realm sits a figure, robed, poised, and utterly balanced. In one hand, scales hang with a delicate balance, and in the other, a double-edged sword lifted upright, its blade reflecting he who look upon it. Because that's what justice does. Justice reveals you to yourself. In her book, 78 Degrees of Wisdom, it was Rachel Pollack who noted that unlike Justitia, the figure that's presented to us in tarot often wears no blindfold. And the reason why is incredibly important, because this isn't about human law. This isn't about courts, judges, or punishment offering equal distribution or fairness. This is about discovering a deeper truth. And truth requires being able to see clearly. And if we walk through life blindfolded, pretending that we don't know, avoiding the parts of ourselves we would rather ignore, then we remain trapped and we stumble in the illusion that is cast all around us. But here, in the domain of justice, the blindfold is stripped away and the hero cannot hide. The figure's eyes do not condemn, but they do not flinch either. They invite honesty. They invite recognition. They invite the kind of self-responsibility that says, yes, this happened. Yes, I did this. Yes, these choices are mine. Yes, these events shaped me. And yes, I am still here and can choose again. And no, not every choice is easy. Some cut one way and some cut the other. But each of these cuts is what shapes who we become. The choices that we have are represented by the reflective, double-edged sword that is standing upright in justice's hand. This is the sword that also pierces through illusion. It is wisdom in action, the ability to slice through fog and see what lies beneath appearances. The scales, by contrast, rest gently in her hand. They balance the past and the future, weighing actions against consequences, choices against character. And they remind us that life is about equilibrium. Rachel Pollack calls justice the higher version of the magician and high priestess put together. And interestingly, we can see this by the note of double ones in the number 11, which is justice's major arcana number, and the fact that 11 equals 2. 1 plus 1 is 2, which represents both the 1 and the 2 of the magician and high priestess numerically. When the magician takes action by drawing down energy from the elements and channeling it into form, the high priestess holds the mystery, listens to the silence, and embodies an inner knowing. Justice reminds us that we cannot have one without the other. To act without wisdom is reckless. To receive without action is stagnation. Justice, at the midpoint of the fool's journey through the second line, insists that these two, action and wisdom, must marry. That true movement in life comes not from impulse nor from hiding in silence, but from acting on what we know to be true within ourselves. Our fool begins to see the real of their life unfurl before them. Each step, each mistake, each joy, every heartbreak, even every hesitation. And in response, justice says, what you are, you have made yourself. What you will become, you will create through your choices. And yet you are not trapped. You are free, because the moment you accept responsibility, the past loses its grip upon you. This is the paradox that is lying at the heart of the justice card. The idea that taking responsibility is synonymous to freedom. When we resist responsibility, when we blame or deny, when we hide, we remain shackled to the very things that we are trying to escape from. And when we say, yes, this is mine, these are my choices, these are my lessons, something somehow loosens. And in that loosening, we find peace as well as mastery. I want to invite you to consider where in your own life you may be resisting responsibility, hoping that if you don't look too closely, the weight somehow will magically disappear on its own. Where are you pretending not to see the truth, even though it's rumbling underneath? Justice is not here to punish. She is here to free you by inviting you to look deeply at yourself. Rachel Pollack reminds us that the second line of the major arcana, the journey from strength through to temperance, is not about outer achievements, but about discovery, cultivation, and the mastery of your inner self. It is the withdrawal from external concerns for the purpose of awakening an inner vision. And here's the catch. Vision without intentional and purposeful action is fruitless. And so in justice, we can find the bridge. The fool has glimpsed truths in the hermit's lamp and felt the wheel of fate turn. And now they must integrate those insights through conscious choice, through responsibility, and through balance. Because if you do not understand yourself, how can you ever make a free choice? If your actions are born out of unconscious patterns, unexamined wounds, unspoken fears, then are they really free and clear? Freedom, then, is not about doing what we want. Freedom is about clarity. It's about seeing ourselves so truthfully that when we act, we know exactly where the action comes from. Justice teaches that when you accept and understand the past, you liberate your choices for your future. And so our fool kneels before justice. They remember moments they are proud of and moments they regret. They remember when they acted bravely and when they shrank away. They remember love and loss, triumph and error. And for a moment, their chest feels heavy. But justice does not scold. She simply holds out the sword, gleaming. Cut through, she says. See clearly. Accept and choose. The fool lifts the sword, and for the first time they feel the weight of self-responsibility, not as a burden, but as a key. They see that the road ahead, the next parts of their journey, the next challenges, the next transformations they'll have, will only be well navigated if they carry this clarity alongside with them. Justice is not a mythic moment in our fool's journey. It's also a daily practice. It's the moment you pause and reflect before reacting. It's the moment you admit to yourself that you played a part in something. It's the moment you take accountability and choose to see the lesson or gain the wisdom in the experience had. Justice asks you to weigh your choices, not endlessly, not with paralysis, but with a sense of awareness. It asks you to act with your integrity and to balance your actions with the wisdom you've gained along the way. It whispers that every event has shaped you, and you are not only shaped, you are also constantly shaping. Once the fool has accepted their truth, the scales shift and find balance. They rise, holding the sword, no longer trembling. They bow to justice, who nods silently, her eyes still piercing, but now somehow softened with the recognition that the fool has understood. And as the fool walks onward, they know that while the past still forms part of the journey lived, it no longer binds them to repeat it in perpetuity. They are free to choose. So what sword of truth is waiting in your hand? What past event, perhaps still heavy, might lose its grip if you finally accept it as part of the tapestry that has made you who you are? What balance are you being invited to cultivate between understanding and action? Because true action arises from knowing yourself, and wisdom is then born from that very action. This is what we are invited to sit with today, to find clarity in who we've become, to accept responsibility, and to take action from the wisdom received. Because the only true and lasting change in your life must be born from you. And you are fully capable of offering this to yourself if you choose. Until next time.